Morning. It's gonna be part one, I think, hopefully, of our week 2 video, and kind of take you around, show you all the improvements and adjustments we've made in the last week. It is Saturday the 6th or 7th, I don't know. All these days kind of just blend together now. So finished the kind of guide rail that we put in, spiked them down, and then just this is our working area. Nothing's planted in this whole area right here. Why? It's just this main path to get to the back, to the front, because they still need to put that other gate in over there. As you can see, we put most of the ground covering in, grass clippings, some sticks and stuff that was in some composting bags that we collected throughout the neighborhood. Didn't really expect to end up with this, but didn't want to waste it. Don't normally want pine cones and pine needles and stuff here because of the high acidity of it, but is what it is, and it's not around anything that's growing at the moment. So show you what we did. I did a little bit of raking and hoeing and getting a little bit of weeding into as well. As you can see, our pumpkins are doing quite well. Our three cantaloupe back there are doing very well as well. What else did we put in new? Had to replace some of those cantaloupe, as I mentioned last week, because of something that got in and ate them. Our beans are looking really good. As you can see, they're probably about 7 or 8 inches tall now, most of them, and they're starting to climb the trellis. Let me see what else we got going. Oh, our onions started popping up through the ground, which is really cool. This is kind of a last minute addition. Still need to do a lot of weeding in here, but as you can see, the onions are coming up fairly well. You know, it was just a choice we made and grabbed a couple. So we only got 3 small rows, probably a little crowded in here, but we're just trying it out. Carrots are looking really good. Dill, leeks, one or the other. They're doing well. All of the lettuce and beets look like they're doing awesome. Red romaine's doing well. Kale always does well. I mean, I swear, you can cut it down and next week it'll be the exact same, it'll be back to the exact same height. Basil, had a little problems with the basil. Had to do a little pruning because we started seeing a little bit of a, I don't know if it was a fungus or a sickness in here. Got a little piece right here. Let me show you. It is, yeah. Get rid of that. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Had to grab a phone call really quick. Got interrupted. So I got to do a little weeding in here. But we were having some problems with the basil. I don't know what it was. I got to look it up. But as you can see, where is it? Started getting a lot of that. Focus. But it was really bad. It was a lot worse. So I peeled off or pinched off all the affected leaves. And it seems like they are coming back even better than before. You know, with basil, you pinch them off at the top to get them to grow out. You do a little pruning on them and they'll most likely start to shoot out to the left and right. You know, they'll sprout out. Basil's looking good. Bunching onions looking good. Got to do a little weeding in there too as well. Here's the other one. So the radishes, right? I think where we got the radishes, they had issues before we even got them. As you can see, there are lots of little pits inside of the leaves here, and I caught one of the bugs and ended up being a flea beetle. So if you have flea beetle issues, there are some natural remedies out there, which we did put on here. Peroxide mixed with a little dish soap and a little bit of water, I think is what it was. Just spray it on there, it gets rid of them. Flea beetles are really interesting because they're, you know, super small, probably like the size of one of those little holes, if not smaller, and you go to touch them and they jump. So they're a really interesting little bug. But don't see any, haven't seen any in about a week, so that's good, and hopefully they kind of recover and do quite well. What else we got? Oh, planted all of our tomatoes that we had in our containers. The ones we started from seed, which were a ton of varieties. Tiny Tim, Chocolate Stripey, what else? Yellow Pear, which are my favorite, even though I hate tomatoes, they're still my favorite. And a new addition that I'm really looking forward to seeing is the Sunrays. See how those come up. What else we got? We got more Chocolate Stripey and Cherokee Purples, which are a big nice big tomato. Then our burpless cucumbers. We lost one cucumber slash, yeah, it was a cucumber, it wasn't a zucchini. So lost one cucumber bush last week sometime, like early in the week. So I grabbed it, and I had a tomato plant. I think it's just a Sweet 100 I planted in its spot. Check the leaves every single day. So I can't even stress how important this is for your zucchinis. Check those leaves every single day. Every day. Check underneath them. Check inside of them. Flip them over. You got to do this, or else you're going to end up with a problem. Flip them over. Take a look. What we're looking for are those squash bugs that we saw last year. And if they start, you got to catch them. They will show up. I have no doubt about that. So what we're going to do is we'll sprinkle a ton of diatomaceous earth around the base of the plant. And if they make it past that and they get on the leaves, we'll fight it at the leaf level too as well. I've mentioned in many videos past about the diatomaceous earth and what it can do. It dries the insect up, so it really helps to get rid of them. But it does inhibit photosynthesis within the plant leaves, so you got to get it off there after a period of time, whether by rainwater or washing it off with a hose, just so the plant can continue to grow. And some peppers. Oh yeah, that's really cool. So we saw our first little pepper pop up. Let me get out of look at that guy. You see him? Look at that. This is a Valencia orange sweet pepper. So about a bell, it's going to be the average bell pepper size more than likely. And then I think we got one or two. Yeah, we got quite a few. We got another one over here too as well. I think this is our miniature plant. Miniature red bells. Yep. So these are probably only going to get about that big. There's a lot of budding going on and flowering going on there. So that is super cool. Update on some of the plants that were eaten. I pruned them up. Some of them are doing well, branching out. Other ones are not doing too well, but I had nothing to put in their spot, and I've never dealt with this before, so I'm just going to let it ride and see how well they do. This one's recovered quite a bit. I think this is the Valencia. It's made somewhat of recovery. Its growth will definitely be stunted, but it still will probably at some point produce some fruit. That one might not. Yeah. Some of these tomatoes, unfortunately, that I got at the store had a little bit of disease on them or fungus or whatever, so I'm fighting that, and we'll get through it. They'll recover. I did some fertilizing this week. I used some Epsom salt, some really natural fertilizer like blood feather. What else did we put on here? A little Miracle Grow, just a little bit on some of the plants that really needed it, because I'm starting to see, and it's just I'm not going to name the place where I got all these, but they're all doing the same thing. So something from that nursery is affecting all of the tomatoes that I got from there. So it's not something in the ground here. It's not something from watering and the soil splashing up onto the plant. It's definitely from where we got it. Okay, next thing. I'm going to talk about pruning the tomato plants. So this year, trying a different, kind of a different approach here to get these tomato plants to grow high. So we've actively started pruning off the bottom portions of the plant about, 3 to 4 inches off the ground. Here's a good example. See if I can get in here. Yeah, so we've really focused on making sure that there's no leaves or stems at about the first level. So we want to probably do, once they get a little bit higher, I can judge about 12 inches because that's where each one of these rungs are at. And that'll help with when we water and soil splashing up on them and leaves hanging on the ground, which can cause other problems. So I did most of the plants that we have. Looks like I got a little bit of work to do there. And then we'll start talking about pinching off the little saplings that come off in the corners. And we'll talk about that kind of pruning in another video. But I think that's just about it today. Maybe have some more work tomorrow. Make a short video, just kind of tag it on to the end of this. But our basil, little tight small globe basil, doing really good. Tomorrow the goal for video will be just getting the rest of the ground covering in. We'll be collecting more bags of leaves tomorrow, and not leaves, grass cuttings, and we'll be spreading out throughout the garden so we don't have to do any weeding this year, or as little as possible. So thank you guys. Oh wait, hold on, one thing. Tomato cages. I built another 10 tomato cages. I think I will probably post a short, like 30-second video on how to make tomato cages. But yeah, made 10 more tomato cages, and these ones, because of the wood that we used and where I got it from, free, everything was free, they should last a long time, at least 5 or 6 years. So, all right, guys, have a good one. Bye. Morning, part 2 of yesterday's video, week 2 of the garden, and in the back of the element we have probably about 10 to 12 empty lawn composting bags that we've collected throughout the neighborhood, full of grass clippings and leaves, and sometimes some undesirable stuff like rocks that we've got to sort through, but it's free and it's worth it, and it makes great ground covering. So over here I did some weeding yesterday, and then I came over with all the grass clippings and some of the other stuff that we got, put it back over top of the ground, you know, moving it away. Ooh, look, a piece of metal, that's not good. Moving it away from the plant area so that it still gets enough sun. It's not getting suffocated by what we're trying to use the grass for, to suffocate all the leaves or the weeds out. But it looks a little messy. It just always does. Found some wood chips. Somebody was obviously cleaning up the yard and had a bunch of wood chips, so we threw those down. They don't work as well as grass clippings because they do let a lot of light through and they hold a lot of moisture. So does the grass clippings, but the grass clippings really seem to generate a lot of heat, which just kind of like kills everything in a way. But we'll take it. It's free, and we kind of sort through it, make sure that everything's okay on it. Got a lot to do still. I mean, think about it. Like 2 weeks ago, this was just nothing but like 2 or 3 inches tall of composted leaves and all that sort. And look at all the greenery that's coming through there. So the goal for the garden is to always keep this down to a minimum, and we'll constantly be putting leaves and grass clippings all throughout the year on top of this. At some point, some areas will just kind of like give up. We'll choke it out and we'll never have to do it again, but for the most part, we'll be doing this all year long. Again, I showed you guys all the tomato cages that I made. I've got about 3 more at home right now that I'll bring up here to put on the baby tomatoes if they ever grow. But there's still a lot of weeks left here. But just want to check back in. Some of the foliage, more of the stuff that we got put on here. These are mostly sticks and stuff. I really don't like this stuff because it doesn't break down as well. But as soon as it dries out and you step on it, it'll spread itself out. What else do we have today? Oh, zucchinis. I mean, I swear to God, these things seem like they grow a couple inches every single day. But again, if you grow zucchinis, as I have in the years past, and you know that there are beetles out here, and squash bugs, you need to check them every day. I can't even stress that, because you cannot, as soon as these things bloom, it's all over. If a bug gets in there and gets his little saliva inside that flower, that plant's toast. You can't catch it soon enough. So be diligent and always check your plants. All right, you guys have a good day. Take it easy.